All right, we're live Sunday afternoon. A little pre-show. We've got Double Fries No Slaw coming up here in just under an hour, and my wife just took the kids to the in-laws, so I had an hour to kind of hang out and talk a little bit about the scrimmage. I chatted with a couple of people that were at the scrimmage last night. I don't have the GOAT CJ on here this week to see with his own eyes, but I did chat with a couple of people that were at the scrimmage last night. Obviously, Coach Norvell had his press conference where he gave you a little bit of a breakdown on what was going on. Coach Atkins spoke, Fuller spoke. I think Pat may have spoken as well, but spoke with some people in there. I think there's, certainly a few things to be encouraged about. So happy to take any questions. Again, I wasn't there. I don't have anybody coming on that was there. I don't know that it'll be the great Q&A that we had last week with CJ, who was there. But I'm happy to kind of talk through anything you've seen reported, anything that concerns you, anything that you're excited about. Seems like some guys definitely stood out. And so excited to chat through any of that. And then at 1:00, we are going live on Double Fries No Slaw with Colby Dant, who is a professional handicapper, talking about Florida State's over-under, talking about the Vegas odds, how we kind of see this season shaping up. This is our last off-season show of the year, I guess until December rolls around. But this is our last off-season show. Next Sunday will be game week. So came quick, happened really fast. And so hit the request button. Happy to chat through anything. Happy to talk through it. Doug, I see you there. I'll get you on in just a sec. If you're listening, if you can hit the share button, we would certainly appreciate it. If you're watching on YouTube, we already got a few people in here. Hit the share button, hit the subscribe button there, and we will get going. Want to, of course, always shout out Gramco, thegramco.com, TJ25 at checkout. We'll take care of all your Delta 8 needs. Go ahead and hit those fine folks up. There is no better time to wake up and hit some wake and bake coffee than on a Sunday morning. I know we're Sunday afternoon now, but get your order in now so you have it by next Sunday. Great folks over there at thegramco.com, TJ25 at checkout. Let's get after it. Let me add my buddy Doug here with Rohan Law. Doug, I'm adding you. I'm connecting you. Hopefully this thing works. Yeah, added him. You may have to come off mute, though. You there, Doug? You're on mute. I'll wait a sec for Doug, and we'll get going. Let's see here. Let's see what all we have. Okay, cool. So you guys, Doug, again, you can come off mute anytime. Don't feel like you're interrupting me. Let me shoot my text. Oh, he dropped off. Scrimmage last night. Again, I wasn't there. CJ wasn't there. Shout out to the people that were there. Certainly give a good amount of credence to those folks. I know that, the media can't be there, but did speak with some people inside and happy to kind of like share some things that they shared with me. All right, I got Doug on now, so I think it's going to work this time. Sometimes the app can be finicky, so you don't blame Doug, just blame the app.
Hey there. It's Doug. Can you hear me?
Yeah, how's it going?
TJ, I cannot wait. I'm so excited.
Man, we're 13 days away. I don't know if you heard me say this, but it's kind of crazy to think that this will be our last Double Fries No Slaw of the offseason. Next week is legitimately game week.
It's time.
Yeah.
I have a question, and then I wanted to talk to some of the Atlanta folks. You want the question first, or you want the Atlanta plug?
Either way, man. I'm all about it either way.
Well, of course, we have to listen to this whole Spaces, but after 1:00 today, Atlanta Seminole Club getting together at Scofflaw. Come on out and hang out and talk with everybody else and the Atlanta Seminole Club about the upcoming season. We'd love to see you out there.
Heck yeah. Well, that's awesome. It's kind of like you guys' kickoff party, or is you guys' kickoff party? It's
Spirit
awesome.
Fest.
Yeah, we had ours in Tampa last week, so it's getting close, man. I know Orlando just did theirs. So yeah, it's awesome.
So I wanted to follow up on Wyatt Rector's very scary posts and tweets a couple weeks ago about needing some prayers, but then I saw that he was involved last night at the scrimmage. Do we know any more about what was going on with Wyatt and if everything's all right?
Yeah, I don't even know if that was really like an on the field thing. Weren't there with I'm trying to be a little bit careful with what I say. Yeah, I think he's fine.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't have a great. You hit me with a total curveball there, but yeah, I think he's fine. He's getting the work in. I don't think there's a ton to be concerned about there. I think we're in good shape there.
I was just desperate for news on that. Love hearing from you, and I can't wait to hear more about the scrimmage, especially if you can actually find somebody that was there that wants to talk. That'd be even better.
I try to work a lot of angles to make that happen, and I'm still sending out messages. I'm still sending out lifelines, but it is tough because they really try to lock that down. But we did chat with some people there, and I don't have anything like I wouldn't say we have anything groundbreaking. So anybody that's like looking for like a golden nugget of, Jordan Travis dunked on some guy, like I just don't have that. But we did talk with a couple of people there, and so can try and share a few things on that. But I appreciate you, my man. Again, if you're in Atlanta, go hit up. It's a Scofflaw. Is that where it's at?
Scofflaw, Chattahoochee Road.
Yeah.
See you this afternoon. Take care, man.
Thanks, buddy. The biggest thing that I took away, and we've really been pushing this narrative and pushing this hype, and I know we've got a few people requested. I'll get you in just a second. The biggest hype that I got, the first message I got from somebody that was there at the scrimmage last night was number 14 is an absolute problem in the red zone. Like, I'll actually read the message. Hold on. Let me scroll up. But he's just a mismatch problem. Big body that plays big in the red zone. He's not a speed burner or exceptionally quick, but he is a legit 6'7", that high points stuff. Another message. I followed up on it, asked something, and then he said, no, he is a legit problem in the red zone. And then he gave me the crossed arms emoji. So I don't know what the crossed arms emoji means, but I do know that Johnny Wilson seems to be absolutely lighting it up when Florida State is in the red zone. And, you just can't guard against 6'7", right? Like there's just no way. He does a really good job of high pointing the football. He does a really good job of going up and getting it, which I don't really know that Florida State has had since KB. I guess Alden did a little bit. But I also don't think we had a quarterback that could really get it to him like we wanted to at that point. Totally, power forward or center or whatever, like Shaq in the post, throw it up and he goes up and gets it. Good hands when he's high pointing the ball. In the middle of the field, I think his hands could be improved. His, route running could be improved. But that's not his specialty, right? You brought in a pretty diverse set of talent. Diverse skill set with different wide receivers from Pittman to Wright to Spann, who's a speedster. So you brought in guys with the understanding of that, right? I don't think, Johnny Wilson, he'll do it against Duquesne just to make me a liar, but he's not going to burn anybody down the field. He's not, I don't know that he's going to be your 3rd and 12 and you've got to get something on your own 20 or anything like that. But I do think that you're going to see him utilized a ton in the red zone, and it sounds like he's done a really, really good job there. So fingers crossed that continues. Also, Kevin Knowles continues to impress. He's a kid that I really, really like and have high hopes for this year. I think the cornerbacks have to, there's enough pieces there that they have to, kind of figure out that rotation perfectly. But Kevin Knowles was somebody that I think people were impressed with. Very, very instinctive and just not afraid to make a play, right? If you get burned or you mess up at that cornerback position, it's typically going to cost a touchdown, right? The best cornerbacks you never hear about, right? Deion's numbers weren't ever insane just because people wouldn't throw his way. But just a kid that's not afraid to make a play, not afraid to take a chance, not afraid to really put his body on the line, super athletic. And so Kevin Knowles is another player that has gotten a little bit of smoke and somebody that, folks have been impressed with, not only in the scrimmage, but in camp, in general. I don't know that he necessarily starts, alongside Cooper, but I do think that, he could be in that nickel, and could rotate in and out quite a bit. I mean, I think your secondary, you want to keep him pretty fresh, and Florida State has a lot of pieces back there with Vance and Cooper and Knowles and Feaster, and I'm probably even leaving somebody. So I'm probably even leaving somebody else out there. But yeah, another kid that was mentioned to me as having a good scrimmage, and then like some of the specialist stuff has maybe gotten sorted out. Norvell mentioned this. I'm not breaking any news with this, but if you haven't read or listened to his press conference, it looked like Sam McCall had a good day back there. That could be kind of his way. I think when you get borderline 5-ish star athletes, 4 or 5-star athletes in to your class, I think you do really want to find a way to get them involved and find the way to get just athletic freaks on the field. And I don't know that he's ready to play as much, every down in the secondary yet. I think he could be there by, mid to late season, but I think you want to get your freaks involved any way you can on the field. So again, not really breaking any news with this Sam McCall thing that was mentioned specifically by Coach Norvell. But somebody that again was kind of brought up to me, like you always try, and I feel like you always, when you're talking with somebody after a scrimmage like this, I think the biggest thing that I'm typically asking is how much of Coach Norvell's press conference was coach speak and how much was like, this guy was legitimately good, right? I think that's what you're trying to decipher, because Mike's not going to go out there and tell you like, dude, our offensive line is freaking terrible. And, the guy I was talking with, also wasn't saying that either. But Mike's not going to come out and no coach is going to come out and just be like, yeah, we stink at this position. So I think that you try and get like the underneath, right? Like coaches are going to be pretty positive. This is what we did well. This is looking good, blah, blah, blah. So I think you're trying to find the intermediate, okay, well, who really shined? Who are you not telling us about? And so, but for that point to be echoed, McCall is very gifted athletically. And so I think that's why you see Florida State really trying to push and use him there. So cool. Let's get to some questions. Let's get some of you guys that were requested. Hit my DMs if you have anything. If you're watching this live on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. We went over 1,000 subscribers, so that's cool. Don't really provide a bunch of recruiting insights. We don't have like a huge network. Well, we do have the roll up, but don't have like a huge network's backing like CBS Sports or anything like that. So appreciate the grassroots type effort. If you're watching on YouTube, smash the subscribe button. We certainly appreciate that. All right, let's get to a couple of people that have requested, a couple of callers, and see what we can get. Feel free to submit your questions. Again, we'll be on here for about another 45 minutes, and then Richie and I are jumping on Double Fries No Slaw to talk about the season. I prefer questions on the season kind of get maybe, a little closer to the 1 o'clock hour, or maybe even in that Double Fries show. But whatever you've got, I'm here to chat about. I'm happy to kind of connect on. No gifts. What's going on, my man?
Hey, what's up?
Man, it's another Sunday. We're 13 days. You excited?
I'm so excited. Are you going to be at the game in New Orleans after we whoop Duquesne?
I am. Yeah, I actually didn't realize it because of the bye week, but I'm going to the first 3 games. Just the way that the season fell. Wanted to go do the Bourbon Trail, so that should be fun. But yeah, first 3 games, so definitely be in New Orleans. Should be a fun time.
Very cool. Well, I've been following the beat long enough to know that, especially in the preseason practices, if the beat is reiterating kind of some obscure, ambiguous points, once the season gets started, they'll follow back and be like, well, we tried to tell you guys X, Y, and Z. And kind of I think Berg was really great at this. And it comes to mind last year when they were in Jacksonville. He was making some comments about I don't know how much they were able to actually run the offense while they were in Jacksonville. Turns out that's because Jay Trav and Milton were not well but they couldn't come out and say it. And so I've been listening really closely this preseason to try and find those obscure, ambiguous points that get repeated. And I haven't been able to hear any. So my question is, is that a good thing, or is there something that I'm missing? Or are there any obscure points that you've been able to pick up on?
Yeah, that's a good question. And you're right. I think that they are intentionally ambiguous. I've talked with several people on the beat, and Florida State tries to keep a lock on certain things, and certain people on the beat are better than this than others. Certain people are let me be careful with just calling people out on a Sunday, on the Lord's Day. But yeah, certain people are not very good at following directions, and like they'll just come right out and say things they're not supposed to. But certain people do know how to like hint around at things, right? Like, I mean, whatever. Once it gets posted somewhere, I'll just call them out. But yeah, like you'll see like people on different boards and different things, like moderators, right? Like not just your average guy like me who's commenting on the board or whatever. Somebody that's like totally disconnected. But you'll see him comment like, oh yeah, I think NIL was a big factor here. And it's like, there's probably a better way to say that than to just like out and out say that this recruit came down to NIL, right? Like, because, you know, we all know that's going on, but you're not really supposed to say that out loud. So, and that's just kind of one that comes to mind because I literally just was sent it like 2 days ago. But they also do that with the practice stuff. They hint at stuff, and they certainly just kind of try and dance around the subject so that they can kind of be alluding to it, but not saying it. We all know, I mean, you know, again, we're not breaking any news here. We all know that there's some concern around a potential another offensive line injury. That's been hinted at. But nobody's going to come right out and say it, right? But you put enough pieces together, you read enough tea leaves, you can kind of see it. To answer your question, though, sorry, I like doing like a 15-minute diatribe before I even answer a question. To answer your question, though, I don't think that there is a ton of that, mostly because I think the staff knows what they have. Like, right, like last year it was Jordan or McKenzie, right? Like which way were things going? And it was trying to figure out like how this piece is going to fit together or that. There aren't really a lot of secrets this year. You know, I think that the team knows, you know, the staff knows what they have. That's why they're projecting more confidence. That's why the team is projecting more confidence. And so I think it's like, well, you know, there are a lot of tricks. Like we're going to try and line up and play every down and beat you. Right. And so we'll see if that, you know, we'll see how that kind of all pans out later. But yeah, I think that's why there's not as much this year where you're like having to be secretive or having to like beat around the bush. Now, I'm sure there'll be stuff that like, you know, Brendan or just whomever will point to later and say like, oh, this is what I meant by that when I was telling you guys X, Y, Z. But I don't think it's anything earth shattering at this point.
All right, cool. I have one more question for you. So I'll put the over under at 1.5. How many passes do you think Deuce Spann will throw this year?
I will say this again. I can't just answer a question. I have to like be a politician every time. I have no inside info about trick plays or anything like that, and that's not just me like making that up. Like I legitimately have not heard that at all because that stuff does stay pretty well under wraps. But that just seems like a fun one to like be able to cheer for all year. So I'm gonna go over. Like I'm gonna put it at 2, but like that seems like a fun one to be able to like cheer for all year. So like I don't want to say under because you know life's too short to bet unders. I'm not a loser. So I feel like that's a good one to bet over and have fun with.
Very cool. You have a good Sunday, man.
Thank you, my man. I appreciate you. I do know, again, we are getting close to game week, and so we are extremely close, and you need to go ahead and do the work to get your Garnet and Gold orders in now. Again, they have incredibly fast shipping. Kraken was just telling me that they got his order to him in 2 states over in 3 days. But garnetandgold.com, you can use code SPACES15 to save 15%. I know that you guys, see the ads for Fanatics a ton. I know you see it for Alumni Hall and the different places that have sportswear. Garnet and Gold is the last family-owned and operated local business that sells all of your FSU gear, whether that's the Nike drop, the Columbia stuff that's come out, the tailgate stuff. They've got the stuff for Bobby and Deckerhoff. Go to garnetandgold.com. Use SPACES15. You'll save 15%. Your order will be to you with lightning quick shipping. They do a great job of being excellent with customer service. They are still family-owned and operated. I like supporting the little guy. I like support, not to call them a little guy, but I don't like supporting the major corporations that don't care about FSU, don't give back to FSU. Go hit up garnetandgold.com today. SPACES15 will save you 15%. Get your order in before the season gets here. Free shipping on orders $75 or more, or if you are in Tallahassee or going to Tallahassee for the Duquesne game, you can pick it up for free by using your in-store pickup option. I'm definitely going by Garnet and Gold and probably going to spend way too much money with my daughter there, but it'll be her first time. Well, I guess she was there when she was like 6 months old, but it'll be her first time where she can actually pick stuff out. So Yeah, that'll be a rough day for the old wallet, but can't wait to get there and support those fine folks. Let's keep it going with different questions, different things going on here. And let's try and see if we can get a few more things. A couple questions in the DMs. Over under 1.5 if the 2022 season counts as one. How many more seasons is Atkins staying in Tallahassee? Yeah, over on that. Yeah, I think he's here this year, and I've got him here next year as well, right? Like, so for the 2022 season and 2023. Now, that said, if we really impress and go I think there's a scenario, it's not likely, but I think there's a scenario that Florida State could win 9 games, get to a bowl. I think you'd lose that bowl game because it'd be against a really, really good team. But you win 9-10 games, I think that, you might see a team take a massive swing on Atkins. Because I think we're going to win 7 or 8 games, I actually have us at 8 games solid, not to give away my entire preview for the show that we're going to do at 1 o'clock on Double Fries No Slaw, but I think you win 7 games, and if you go 7-5, you win your bowl game. If you go 8-4, you lose your bowl game because you're playing in a better bowl at that point, better opponent. So 8 feels like a really comfortable number for me right now. I think if they win 8 games, they retain Atkins for one more year. They pony up, they keep him, they try and run it back to get to 10 wins the next year. So I think if you do, you could almost do too well and lose him, but I mean, you'd take that option too, because if you win 9-10 games, you're going to be able to hire a little bit better than winning 3 and 5 games your first couple of years. That's a good question for sure. TJ, with the third scrimmage complete, still a lot of question marks at some starting positions. Are we starting to see enough guys trending towards starting where we haven't previously? Okay, so that's a good question too. I don't think Florida State loves when you comment on the depth chart or when. Sorry guys, I'm slacking on the YouTube stuff. I've got all your questions here. I'll answer those in just a second. But I don't think they love when you comment on the depth chart, but I actually do think a lot of the starting positions are becoming more solidified, at least the ones that are really important and super crucial. Obviously, what you got in quarterback. It sounds like Trey Benson is kind of your guy at running back. You've got different options, I think, at the wide receiver position, but I think your starting receivers are, again, going to kind of come down to that skill set. It would not shock me at all if it's your 1 and 2 are Pokey and Micah. And then I think you're going to see Span and Wilson used situationally. If you've just tuned in or if you're just joining us on YouTube, on Spaces, wherever you're at, Wilson has been described to me as an absolute problem in the red zone. And I think that he's somebody that is going to continue to be utilized there and in that fashion. So, if you're between the 40s, I think you're going to see Span a lot. If you are inside the 30, I think you're going to see Wilson a lot. So I think those guys will be used situationally. I think they are still working on offensive line. Obviously, that there are injury concerns. You lost Lyles, you've lost some other things, but I think that they are working through some of that to solidify that. I think the defense is pretty solidified as far as starters. Maybe you have a question on cornerbacks, but I think you feel really good about the defensive line with your tackles and your ends. Obviously, Fabo and Coop, I'm not upsetting FSU or breaking any news by saying that those are going to be your starters. You feel really, really good about your safeties with Dent and Robinson, who, again, Robinson has been fantastic. Another name that he got high praise from not only Coach Norvell, but in some of the conversations that I had after the scrimmage last night. And then I think what you have at linebacker. I think that it's going to be Deloach, Bethune, and Lundy, and then you've got Gaynor and other guys kind of stepping in and filling in some of those other spots. At cornerback, I think that what you have there with your rotation. But no, I feel pretty good about where the depth chart is in general. So I don't think that it's not solidified yet. So I feel good there. I think there are a couple of positions that need to get figured out. Some of that due to injury, some of that due to okay, who's going to step up and be your wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, wherever that ends up being. But no, I feel good there. Let's go through some YouTube questions. Are there any trolls in here before I end the conversation? I feel like there are always trolls, but we try not to give them too much time. So ready to walk inside Doak on the 27th. I feel you there. There's also an injury on Friday in Jacksonville that hasn't been addressed yet. Report on that. Let us know who and what, man. We're open to that. Rumors are that Ruiz's checks aren't cashing. Are there 2 realistic flips from their 2023 class? Okay, so this is not an NIL talk, but I will just say there is definitely, I think when you see somebody like Sean Ruiz, who was so public about how much he loved Miami and how much he was going to support and really be that guy forever. And then he goes public with kind of a, yeah, I'll probably back this off at some point, type conversation with that interview the other day. I think there's smoke where there's smoke, there's fire a lot of times. So yeah, I don't know if checks aren't cashing or not. I haven't been kind of made privy to any of that, but I do think that, for somebody to be so boisterous about how he's going to bring Miami back to prominence, for him to back off of that at all and kind of go in a direction of like, I don't know, if the ROI is going to be here for as long as I wanted it to be. I think that could be a sign to you that things are potentially changing a little bit. Actually, I'll just tell you guys what I heard. I don't even care. Yeah, let's go for it. I think that, what I was told is that Ruiz's motivations were never for NIL to get him a bunch of ROI. For those that aren't aware, Life Wallet is an app that's very similar to your Apple Health app. It helps you store pertinent information, does stuff like your blood pressure and weight and height and BMI and stuff like that, right? Like, so it's a somewhat useful app. But again, if you're downloading an iPhone, you already have the health app. Like, it's not what I would call necessary, right? Like, it's certainly not life-changing to try and make a pun or whatever. So I don't think he ever thought he was going to make a lot of money back on the ROI of NIL. I think his bigger play and what you saw them really pushing for when the Ruiz family came on the scene was the stadium aspect. I think he wanted to be largely involved in there because if you help Miami build a stadium, I think that then you can make a lot of money going forward because stadiums are cash cows, right? Like obviously Miami would only use it 6-7 times a year, but you have concerts there, you have other events there. And so seems like some of that stadium noise has died down. And all of a sudden, Ruiz's interest is dying down too. He's going on record. He's doing interviews saying that he doesn't know if he's going to keep doing it or not. So yeah, something to look out for, something to watch for, but those are some of the rumblings that I've been told. So you guys got that one for free. There was no charge. We're not throwing that behind a paywall, but I don't know if it tracks, right? Nobody ever thought that Ruiz was going to make his money back from Miami players NIL. He was severely overpaying for mid-level basketball players and football play. There's just wild rumors about what he's, potentially offering kids and stuff like that. And, I don't think we ever thought that, NIL was his. I never thought the NIL was his end game, right? Like, the rumors and the talk of, oh man, he just loves Miami so much and he wants to see us get back to prominence. And, that just doesn't track, man. Where was he the last 20 years, right? I know that NIL wasn't a thing, but where was he with, helping out with this university or the college or anything else like that? At the end of the day, billionaires are businessmen and they may want to see their schools do well, but they want to make more money. Right. And so that was the long-term play for him. That is the long-term play for him. I think that if they end up getting a stadium and he puts his name behind it, you'll see him make a lot more money. Right. And so that's what I would kind of watch out for with the Ruiz situation. I don't know why that came up. I don't know. Oh, Chad asked here on YouTube. So again, hit the thumbs up button. If you're on YouTube, hit the like button. We're going live in about half an hour with a Vegas insider on Double Fries No Slaw to talk about this season, the over-under, what we expect, and what we think will end up happening. Somebody said Big Game James posted a cryptic tweet. What was the cryptic tweet? Somebody shoot it to me. Let's see. Big Game James. Bro, James called me like, this guy gets up early, man. Like I'm on like summer all the time. Getting the info. This is crazy. Yeah, let's see. Uh-oh. Hopefully it's a good thing. James called me like 7:30 the other day. And I'm like, dude, I'm really trying to like just chill in the morning. I don't need this 7:30 a.m. call. So I'll tell James to relax on the early morning calls and stuff. Johnny Buckets, has Trey Benson been sick all week? I have no idea. I don't know that I'd be allowed to say anything if I did, but I haven't heard that at all. I hope the whole team gets the flu this week and they're all healthy and ready to go by week 0. So that would be, a good scenario for me. I think that I have Willie Taggart paid off after this season, so I'll help in compensating Norvell and Atkins should they be successful. I don't know if it's this season or next. Honestly, I don't. Sanone's like the absolute contract guy, like that you guys should follow and really kind of look there. But I'm not 100% sure on that. I don't know that I could comment on that either way. Hey, if you guys have questions, if you have thoughts, specifically about the scrimmage, really about anything, but trying to keep this pretty scrimmage focused. Hit me up, hit the DMs, hit the chat here on YouTube, or hit the request button. And I'm happy to get you on, see what you like, see what you are concerned about this year, and we'll kind of go from there and take any requests, any questions that you guys have. Interesting, Max, I'll get you in just a sec. I appreciate you, my man. Interesting problem with Span getting on the field is Johnny Wilson's blocking. Could see Span rotate a bit more with Pokey. Yeah, I think so. I think you're right there. Like, I think that, Wilson's got a big frame, and if he's able to block out on the edge, right? Remember when in 2018 when we did have a lot of talent at the wide receiver position, or maybe like 2017, where we had talent out there, but guys just were terrible blocking. Like, we had terrible blocking wide receivers. And so, like, anytime anybody get to the edge, it was like, well, that's done. So that's a good point, Chad. I like that. Max, let's get Max on here. Me and Max are trying to tailgate. Who's going to Louisville this year? That should be a fun one. I've obviously had and continue to have a take on the importance of the LSU and the Louisville games. But that one should be a lot of fun, man. Louisville on a Friday night, that place will be rocking. Man, that place was rocking in 2016 when it was a nooner. So, that place would be wild on a Friday night, and really can't wait for it. Can't wait to get to it. So hopefully going into that game 2-0, that would relieve a lot of stress going into it for sure. Max, what's going on, man?
What's up, TJ? Thanks for doing this as always, man.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Hey, so I've talked to probably 4 or 5 people on this, and I've gotten incredibly mixed reviews. So, what have y'all seen, heard, whatever about Span as a ball carrier? Because I think about his speed, and my natural inclination is, okay, the deep threat's great, but let's get him involved in the screen game. And I've talked to some people that are like, yeah, he's fine with it. Others are like, ball security is kind of like not really his thing. So I was just wondering if you've talked to anybody about that, what kind of reviews you've heard on it.
So I'll preface it by saying I haven't spoken with anybody specifically on that. I don't have any insight that's coming from anywhere but, my head. So, like, I'll kind of answer to the best of my ability, but, like, again, I don't have like, I was told this, or I feel this, or, this is probably going to happen. I love Span speed, and he's definitely a burner and just kind of gives you another option. I don't know if he's faster than Trey Benson, though, right? Like, so if you're looking for a burner, like, I think you could get creative with, like, some in and rounds and some reverses and stuff like that. But if you're just trying to, like, have a burner go, like, I'd almost rather just keep the ball in Trey's hand. I also don't know how much. I also don't
more like the screen game, right? Like he could be a good, like, how do you supplement a guy that's been a receiver for 1 year and may not be the best route runner, right? It's like a lot, toss him a screen on the sideline and just let him use his speed where he doesn't have to think about the route running. But,
I think you could see them use both Span and Pittman in that role, right? Like, I feel like Pittman's not the burner that, Span is, but I do think that that's a very natural position for Pittman to be in. Very shifty, very versatile. That's my gut. Again, I really haven't spoken with anybody on like some kind of that outside game. I know that Mike likes to do that. I know that Mike likes to kind of use that intermediate and that short passing game. I don't know. I haven't, again, I haven't really spoken with anybody specifically on Span being out there or who it might feature the most. But certainly something to watch for, and certainly something that I can try and circle back on. I mean, I think we're all pretty confident that we're going to be doing a Spaces again tomorrow at some point, and that'll probably be pretty focused on recruiting. But, something that we can certainly check on and try and see if we can get kind of an update on. In fact, while we're on right now, I'll just shoot a message now so that I don't forget to do it later. And remind me to circle back on that tomorrow if we end up doing a Spaces tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, man, no, I appreciate it. And, if you don't mind if I plug something real quick.
Anytime.
Regarding the injury stuff, I don't know what we're allowed to say about who or whatever, but I did a Max's Math Corner tweet. If anyone wants to go there, you can probably decipher what's going on. But doing a lot of analysis and stuff, folks, like offensive linemen are the least correlated position, as weird as that sounds, to point differential. So, like, if it's an offensive lineman, even in a certain position, let's not drop our win total by 2 or 3 games because of an injury there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's always very telling when you see stuff like this. Like, Florida State has been a 3-point dog to LSU really since the line came out, 3.5, somewhere in there. watch and see who the injuries are to. Obviously, you know Lyles, and then you know that more may happen, and see if that line moves at all, right? Like, I think that's usually a pretty good indication of how much of an impact. Now, I do think that it's not to say that it's not important or that you don't want things to happen, but you're exactly right. Like, the line may move a half a point, probably won't even do that. If the line all of a sudden moves a ton on like this Friday, Saturday before the game, that has more to do with like where the money's coming in and things. So yeah, I don't think that you're necessarily wrong on that at all. I like that take. Let's see here. Max, I appreciate you, my man.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
You bet. We're doing at the top of the hour at 1 o'clock and 22 minutes. We are doing a live show again with Colby Dant, professional handicapper. He is of the Gambling Podcast. Man, they're famous, bro. 17,000 followers and a blue check mark. How do I get one of those? And the College Football Experience. He handicaps every college basketball game. There's 1 billion college basketball games, and so my man is like professional for sure. So check that out. Want to really dive into the season this year, expectations, where we think we're at, what an outsider thinks about the season this year. Not just, me and Richie being homers and liking our coach. Somebody asked, what percentage do we think the run versus pass will be this year? So if I remember correctly, I think we passed the ball 43% of the time. We ran it 57% of the time. I'm actually more confident in me remembering those numbers than I am my math. So somebody quick check on that. 43, 57. Sounds right. 43 times and 57 times. I think if you were to like eliminate all sacks that kind of go into that, you'd probably be like a percentage or two up. So like a 45-55 split, because sacks are counted as rushes, even though that the play started as a pass. I also wonder, okay, there should be a third category as this is just the way that my mind works and has no impact on anything at all. But there should actually be a third category that's like a run pass option category, because how do you even quantify that, right? Like, how do you put that into one? Like, the result doesn't, the result isn't necessarily predicated on what you wanted to do that play. It's just a read. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Somebody asked what I think our percentage would be this year. I think it'll increase. Like, I think the passing game will increase. I think it'll be a lot closer to 50-50. If Jordan's progressing as a passer, like everybody says he is, and if the wide receivers are improved, right? And then the pass pro is improved. We were able to run block last year very, very well. I don't think our pass pro was very good. So if we get better in all those facets, your quarterback's better, your wide receiver's better, and your pass blocking's better, you would think you throw the ball more, right? We couldn't do anything against Clemson offensively because we couldn't run the ball against that stout defensive line, right? And then the passing game just wasn't as good as it needed to be. And so I would expect it to be closer to 50-50. Somebody's saying 60-40 here. I think that would be a really big jump to go up 17%. Like, that's nearly a fifth of your game. That would be huge, as I literally show a debit card on the YouTube there. Somebody edit that out, Harlan or somebody. But yeah, I think 60-40 would be a massive jump. If it's 60-40, Jordan Travis is not coming back again next year. Like, that'd be a really big jump. I think that Norvell likes the run. I think that it's a running mentality of ground and pound and beat people at the point of attack. I also think the strength of the offensive line is still run blocking. And so I think with all that considered, getting up to 60% that'd be a really big number. I'm not saying it's impossible, not saying there's no way it could happen, but I think you probably are looking at a little closer to 50-50. Again, it was 43-57 last year, 43% rushing, 7%. 57% rushing, 43% passing, 60-40 would be really, really high. What questions do you guys have? What can we answer for you? I've got some more questions in the chat here that I can get to. What bar in New Orleans will you guys be watching college football on Saturday of Labor Day weekend? We are going to 12 Mile Limit. That's Kraken Calamari's bar. I don't know that we'll be there all day, but I will definitely be there for the UF Utah game. Hopefully have a bunch of you guys out there as well to hang out and have a good time with my man Kraken and a bunch of Knowles fans that are watching Utah beat the hell out of UF on on opening night of or a Saturday night of that opening weekend of college football. So that should be a ton of fun. 12-mile limit. We'll get more details as we get a little bit closer. I know 12-mile limit has another event going on Friday night. I'm actually doing something that Friday night and can't make it, but there's kind of it looks like there's a Mad So kind of meetup. So go check out 12-mile limit. It's Kraken's bar that you guys all know. Kraken, F everything orange, my man. He's certainly yeah, certainly should go check him out and support him. Gianni, good question. We are doing a tailgate for that game. If you're coming to New Orleans and you want a place to eat, drink for, well, it's not free because you have to pay for the ticket, but if you want a place to eat and drink, all you can eat, all you can drink with shade and private bathrooms, the shade and the private bathrooms are probably worth the cost of admission alone, but you want to come hang out in New Orleans, hit my DMs and happy to hook you up. Also, we're hanging out in 2 weeks. We're hanging out in Richie just sent me that the James Coleman tweet had nothing to do with FSU, had to do with something in Texas. I'm not 100% sure. I literally got out of church and got home and am here on Spaces. So I'm not 100% sure there, but for those that were wondering on the cryptic tweet, nothing to do with FSU, it sounds like. We are hanging out for the Duquesne game as well. If you're going to the Duquesne game, putting on a tailgate with Rising Spear, if you are a Rising Spear contributor, sign up at any level. Rising Spear contributor, you get into the tailgate for free. We'll have food and drinks, again, shade right outside of Doak Campbell Stadium. It'll be kind of family friendly. We're not going crazy out of this tailgate. Bringing my 4-year-old, so no getting wild, but should be fun. We'll have drinks and Guthries and everything else out there. So if you're coming to Duquesne and you missed any info on that, shoot me a DM and let's chat. Okay, cool. What else do you guys have? I don't have anybody else requested. I don't have anything else. Let me see. Let me look back through my messages on the scrimmage and just see if there was anything else that I'm leaving out. Got about 15 more minutes of this, and then we're going to jump over to the Double Fries No Slaw YouTube to do a show on the season. People were kind of worried about the I just got a DM. People were kind of worried about the Jordan Travis not playing a lot. I'm told there was they know what they have there, and they're not, they want the other guys to get reps. So yeah, no real concern there. Again, not that I would tell you if he was hurt, but I think that's one that I think you can kind of cross off your worry list. Maybe a little bit of worry in, obviously rumors have spread and circulating things. I think they are wanting let's be careful. Yeah, I think they want to see the offensive line continue to be more consistent. I think as you've seen guys kind of, it's been reported. So like as Knees talked about, different guys have been shuffled around into different positions. Atkins talked about moving guys around to another side of the line. I think they want to see more consistency out of the offensive line. I wouldn't put that into like a trouble category. I think that the offensive and defensive lines go back and forth pretty consistently, or really inconsistently, right? Like one will win one rep and one will win the next. But the offensive line has done a good job. I really like our defensive line. I think Fabo and Coop are really good. And then you've got Verse, who seems to make incredible plays all the time. And so, winning reps against that unit is good. But I think you would like to see more consistency there. Swapping them around here, there, and everywhere is something that I think that, is something that can cause some confusion. But as guys go down and injuries happen, like throughout any kind of season, you might be in week 6. And if you have a guy go down, you may have to shift 4 of your guys around on the line to kind of make that adjustment. And so I think that that's something that is kind of looked at and considered. I also think that they mentioned Jamie a lot and him really stepping up and being big. I think the cornerbacks are another position that we kind of mentioned at the beginning that they want to see. Again, I'm not trying to paint it as a concern. That's not really the way it was presented to me. I think it's like I think we all feel pretty good about, Coop, but who maybe lines up on the other side more consistently than not, who's going to be that guy to take that next step. I feel like they're really impressed with the depth and the way that they're going to be able to rotate that position. but I do think that they want to see the consistency and they want to see that unit really solidify itself. If I had to say, and again, this has not been painted to me as a concern at all, so I'm not trying to represent it that way. If there was a position group on both sides of the line that I think that, on both sides of the ball, that I think that people really, or that we really need to, see take that next step, I think it's the cornerbacks and the offensive line. Offensive line more so due to changing things around and stuff kind of moving here and there and the other everywhere. On defense with the cornerbacks, I'm not really worried about the cornerbacks. I just think every other position group is like top of the line. Like they're in really, really good shape. And so I'm not trying to allude that the cornerbacks aren't, but that's where, if everybody else is a 10, the cornerbacks are an 8, I need them to raise the floor, like whatever your numbers you want to assign to people. I'm not saying that every unit's a 10 out of 10, but cornerbacks and offensive line are kind of the ones that I want to see solidify the most. I think those are the only two positions that we talked about. Somebody was asking about the starters on the offense. I think those are the only two positions that you're really trying to still figure out who your starters are going to be, right? I think we know some of them, right? Like feel pretty good about Amarian Cooper. Feel pretty good about 3 or 4 of the offensive linemen, but who kind of fills in some of those other positions? Now, I love Kevin Knowles, and he was a guy that I asked about specifically. Somebody else just brought him up in my DMs. I love Kevin Knowles. He was a guy that I asked about specifically when practice was over, to chat about and kind of see like, hey, what were your thoughts on him? And again, really, really, really good reviews for Kevin Knowles, not only here in the scrimmage, but also in the spring in general. Pete, my man, let me get Pete on here. I think cornerbacks are more of a concern than linebacker. That's a good question. I think linebacker. Yeah, let me answer this and then I'll get Pete on. That's a good question. I like where Florida State's at with linebacker. I really, really like Kalen DeLoach. I really, really like Tatum Bethune. I think Lundy has transformed his body to be really, really impressive this year, and he seems to have taken another step. He's a guy that Mike was pretty high on last night. I was actually chatting with my guy from the scrimmage while the press conference was going on, so I didn't watch the press conference. But I think that Lundy's somebody I got more confidence in, and then it just kind of like moves the needle down, right? Like you've got Gaynor then coming behind them, and so like it moves everybody's position down. But yeah, I really like where the linebackers are going to be this year going into it. I mean, I guess you can get proven wrong on that, but I do really like that room. And so to me, I don't think cornerbacks, again, I'm not trying to paint it as a concern. I think the question is more so like how everybody fits, what the rotation looks like, who's the other starter outside of Cooper, which again, that's kind of my assumption that it's going to be Cooper just based on the way that he finished the year. But yeah, I don't know if it's concern. I just don't know if it's as solidified as I think the linebacker room is. So that's maybe how I'm trying to paint that a little bit more. I think there's a ton of depth there, so they'll be fine at the cornerback position. Let's see here. Got a few more questions. We've got about 10 more minutes. I know Pete jumped in here. I don't know if Pete maybe I answered Pete's question before he ended up getting on. If you have a question, you can hit my DMs, you can hit the request button, and happy to chat through anything. About 10 minutes to go. I did throw up in the top of the space. We're going live on Double Fries No Slaw to talk more about the season specifically. I know this has been very scrimmage heavy, very depth chart heavy. I think we'll go less on that side of things when we get onto the pod here in about 10 minutes. But threw that tweet up in the top of the space. As soon as we're done here in about 9, maybe we'll finish up a little bit earlier so I can get on there and prepare a little bit. But go hit that when we get off of here. Pete, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing, Goat?
I'm good. Hey. Don't call me that, bro.
Hey, real quick. I haven't seen a lot from Benson. Is he ill or is there something going on there? Because I didn't see him. We didn't see him out there at practice in Jacksonville. Just looking for him.
Yeah, I don't have any news on him.
I mean, he's still with the team, I would assume. I'm just trying to deduct.
Yeah,
it could be like a flu or something like that. Hopefully.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I do know they feel pretty good about him. I think they even mentioned him. Somebody can maybe DM me or correct me if I'm wrong here, but I do think that they mentioned him with the returners. I don't know if he actually returned in the simulated kickoffs last night or not. I didn't ask about that specifically, but I do know that he's still being mentioned as a possible returner. he's been lighting camp on fire. And so, even
Good.
having not been out at Jacksonville, I still
Yeah.
think they plan on using him pretty heavily. And I haven't heard anything that like would throw me off or give me pause there. So I haven't asked about it specifically, but yeah.
You were absolutely 100% spot on the linebacking core group. It looked like out there when we were watching a little bit on Jacks, they got some real cool packages there for those guys. So that's going to be really, really cool. I think we're all going to be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be really cool to see what that group is able to do. Again, it's a position group that we've had a lot of frustrations with over the years, and something that I think we're going to be, more excited to see this year. So, yeah, no, I'm with it.
I'll jump on in a little bit.
Appreciate you, my man.
Take care, man. Bye.
So speaking on linebackers, somebody just asked me, actually it was Joshua. I'll call these people out. Joshua just asked me about Steven Dix Jr. Seems like he got some burn and then kind of regressed a little bit. Yeah, I think I just don't know that he was ready to play every game last year, which he had to. He did play in all 12 games. He played in 9 games in 2020 and started in the final 5. But again, that linebacking unit just hasn't been very good. And I just don't know that, they were ready for him to be an every down backer for them. Again, I think when you bring other guys in, you just kind of see that natural progression of the team. He's at least going to be the 4th or 5th linebacker, because you would expect that it's Deloach, Bethune, Lundy, probably Gainer after that. Again, I'm not reporting on things I've seen at practice, so I don't mind taking a stab at the depth chart. You also have, Omar Graham's in there. You've got Gant is in there as well. So yeah, I think that it's kind of you've got a lot of bodies in that room, and I don't know that he's really going to solidify himself as jumping ahead of any of those guys. Plays big, man. He's your biggest linebacker at just under 240 pounds. It'll be kind of interesting to see how and if he's utilized this year, but did play in all 12 games last year. So he's definitely got the experience, and, we'll kind of go from there and see what's going on. Yeah. Somebody asked about special teams, field goal unit, punting. Okay. So just before I answer that, somebody said maybe they know what they have with Benson and they're just sitting him more. Yeah. Again, I don't have any inside info on Trey Benson or, why he wasn't in Jacksonville, why they didn't see him there or what, whatever. But yeah, I do think they know what they have there. Right. When CJ was on the other day, he said they really didn't play Jamie or Dent much in the first scrimmage because they want to get other guys rotated in. That wouldn't shock me at all, but I can neither confirm nor deny. And it's not like I've been told not to say something. I really just don't know. Kicking and punting. I think that what you had last year in your field goal game is pretty similar. At the end of the day, Fitzgerald went 10 of 13, but missed a big one in the Notre Dame game for sure. And then, missed one against Miami in a game you won by 3, and then missed one against Louisville in a game you won by 8. I think that you kind of just know what you have there. Somebody on the message board, I try not to comment on the message boards too much, but somebody on the message board was like, you're going to see Florida State go for it a lot from the 30 to the 50. And I quote tweeted, and I was like, yeah, it's called winning football. Very good. You should go for it from the 30 to the 50. If you have an automatic, kicker like Aguayo or something, sure. Run it out there and kick 50 something yarders. But yeah, I think you should go for it, in that range, in that situation. I feel like they probably feel like punting's more of a strength than kicking is. I think you, at the end of the day, know what you have. Field goal kicking has not been spectacular in camp based on my understanding. But again, you had a kicker last year that only attempted 13 kicks. You were down a lot last year too, so you weren't necessarily going after a bunch of field goals. Made some big kicks though. Won you the Syracuse game. Hit the field goal in the Miami game that cut it to 5, so that you could end up stopping them and coming back down and scoring. But yeah, I think that the kicking game is not. I don't know that the kicking game is going to be a strength for Florida State this year. We'll see. Hopefully, maybe when the lights come on, things get a little better. But knock on wood there. Somebody asked, as a Canes fan, do you think LSU will have a big home field advantage? Not really. I don't think that they will. What's the capacity at Caesars? Dome, capacity, American football 73,000. Yeah, I can see Florida State having 35,000 of that, 30,000, so 60-40 maybe LSU. Certainly better than if it was in Baton Rouge where it'd be 90-10 or 95-5. So yeah, I don't expect that to be a massive advantage for LSU. I think it'll be a slight advantage, but 60-40, man, I don't even know that you can really tell that, and it's kind of like a national championship or a bowl game or whatever. Like, I don't think the crowd plays a huge factor. I think it sucks for the fans, by the way, that we're not going to Baton Rouge. Baton Rouge is the best tailgating experience I've ever had. One of the best stadium experiences I've ever had. I'm biased towards Doak, obviously, but it does suck for the fans that we're not going there. But it's good for the team. I think it's good for the team that they're not playing in LSU. So, yeah, no, I think that'll be a fun one for sure. So, let me check one more time on the DMs. Again, I put a tweet up in the top of the space. You guys can go hit that, click that, and we will start Double Fries No Slaw in just a minute. Let's see here. I want to give a quick shout out again to DSP Insurance Services. If you are looking to save a little bit of money on car insurance or homeowners insurance, hit my DMs. I'll hook you up with my guy, Tony Perez, licensed in all 50 states. If he can save you a little bit of money on car insurance, listen, take advantage of it. It works with all the major carriers, so it's not like you're going to be using like TJ Pittenger's insurance or anything like that. Hit up my guy, Tony Perez. It's Primetime2121 here on Twitter. You can hit me or you can hit him. Hey, Knowles support Knowles. Let's take care of our guy. See if he can save you a little bit of money on insurance. If he can't, stay with who you've got. But shoot me a DM if you're interested in saving a little bit of money. We'll hook you up. It'll be more official than a DM. I'll get you his real email and personal info and stuff like that, and we'll try and hook you guys up. All right, Todd, just because you got a great name, I'm going to let you take us home, and then we'll flip over to Double Fries No Slaw here in just a minute. It's on the top of the space if anybody wants to go click that and watch us talk a little bit about the season with a Vegas handicapper. What you got, Todd?
Hey, Todd, it's Todd.
How you doing, my man?
I'm doing well.
I'm good.
Always appreciative. Thanks for hosting. I know it takes time away from the family and that kind of thing, so we do appreciate it. Kind of an off-the-wall, non-recruiting, non-scrimmage question, but sort of related. Obviously, coaches go out, they get the players ready to execute, playbook, that kind of thing. Where's Norvell, Fuller, these guys? You talk about in-game changes to, he got out coached, things along that end. Are they out reading War and Peace? In terms of, are they learning to play chess better? Where are head coaches going to be better? I don't mean schemers, but, in-game adjustments.
Yeah, I think that you've seen this staff struggle. Man, that's a long question too. And I'm this is certainly the last question of the day. And then we'll jump over to Double Fries No Slaw and start that a couple minutes late. I think you've seen them do a good job of that at times and a poor job of that at times. But I do think it's been good at times, right? Like they were down 18 against Notre Dame and changed some things and were able to come back. They had a big deficit at halftime of the Louisville game, changed some things and came back. Where I think they've struggled, and I think this is pretty common in college football, right? This is not like, I'm not breaking any news here, but when you're the team that's winning, you don't necessarily make a lot of halftime adjustments. So like you think about like the BC game and the Miami game where you had big leads and you nearly blew both of them, or you blew the Miami one completely and almost blew the BC one. The team that's trailing is the one that adjusts, right? Like, so you see that, you see against Notre Dame, you're able to adjust and come back. Against Louisville, you're able to adjust and cut it to one score with the ball at the end. And then, Miami, BC, you kind of blow it right the other way. I thought they made some good, they did some good things in the second half to start the game against Florida. You muff a punt, right? Like, so that's not really on halftime adjustments or anything like that. I honestly thought they did you guys are going to kill me for this one. I thought they did a good job with halftime adjustments against Wake Forest. They came out that second half against Wake Forest and had two drives that went one down to the 1 yard line, one down to the 11-yard line. And you get stopped on a 4th and 1, and then the other one you fumble on the 1 yard line. But they came out and just drove the ball down the field against Wake. And so I thought, and the defense held too. You got 3 straight possessions with stops in that second half too. You got to stop, drove down to the 11, turned it over. Got to stop, drove down to the 1, turned it over. Got an interception the very next drive, and then you threw an interception. But like there was like a 5 or 6 possession swing where I thought adjustments were good. Now you didn't capitalize. Like you got to finish drives, and I get that. But I don't know. I think at times that's a little overblown. Maybe that's just my own philosophy. I don't know if it's, that's the answer you want to hear or not. But I do think that at times they've done a good job of that, and sometimes they haven't. But it's typically the team that's losing at the half that is making the most adjustments, because it's hard to just anticipate. If you go into Boston College with a lead of whatever we were up, 13-17 at the half, it's hard to anticipate like what their adjustment is going to be. So you're just going to keep doing what's working, right? And in Boston College adjusts, and they start to come back. And it's like, oh, well, why didn't we do anything at halftime? It's like, well, what were you supposed to do? Like, how were you going to like anticipate what their adjustment was, right? Like, and just change up your whole game plan when it had been working. So I don't know. I think that's a little bit overblown, but I think that the staff at times does a really good job of that, and at times doesn't, right? I think that there are times where it's not as good. I will say to start games, they always have they always have a pretty good game plan to start games. Scripted plays are scripted plays, and so I don't want to go too crazy with that. But I thought you saw Florida State do a pretty good job, and in most games last year where they had their full complement of players, where Jordan Travis was there, they got off to a good start against Notre Dame. They got off to a good start against Miami. They got off to a good start in several games, and so I think that that's something that is maybe overlooked at times too. But what are your thoughts? What do you think about just the adjustments, or what's your take, or why do you think I'm wrong?
Yeah,
I'm here for all of it.
I don't disagree on the fast starts, and we've certainly seen that, and that's something to hang your hat on. But a lot of times, we see in the second half that, hey, third quarter, you've given up 14, 17 points. They're coming at you. You're, North Carolina game, you're hanging on for dear life. That it just didn't seem like there were any adjustments made on either side of the ball, just to continue to put your foot on their throat and finish it off.
Yeah.
And the question of that comes is, look, I've been with Norvell for 7 years now. I live in the Memphis area, so very intimate with what's going on, and watched him against Scott Frost and against Heupel, some of the better coaches in the AAC. So that's the question. Where are coaches going to learn how to be better in-game adjustments? To some are just, or is it just some are better than others?
I think that some coaches are certainly better than others. Like, and you see those as like your truly elite coaches, right? Like even Jimbo wasn't. I don't know that he was elite at it, right? Like I think that you look at like the NC State game. Basically the national championship, like the biggest adjustment was just like put towels up, right? And, with a team that's like way more talented than anybody else, maybe you just don't have to be, good at halftime adjustments. But yeah, I don't know. I think that, essentially a lot of that's like, you're learning that on the job. You're trying to anticipate what the other coach is going to do. You're seeing what kind of happens and what, is heard of, when you're a coordinator, when you're a position coach and things like that. So I'm with you. A lot of times it did feel like we were just absolutely hanging on for dear life in some of those second halves. The North Carolina game isn't one that I would point to for what it's worth. I think they scored late with 2 minutes to go to make it a 2-score game. So I think we did. That was the one game I would say we really did kind of keep our foot on their throats. But you're right about, BC, Miami, other games for the second half wasn't as friendly. Again, the North Carolina one, they never had the ball with a chance to win, in that one. North Carolina 2 years ago in 2020, they definitely did. Or 2020. Yeah, in 2020. But this year, I thought they did a good job of kind of keeping their foot on the throats. But yeah, it's an interesting question. It's something that, you also again, you're trying to, in the second half, when you've got a 3-touchdown lead, you're trying to kind of anticipate what they're, why would you change up what you're doing if you have a 3-point lead, or a 3-score lead, and then, the other team has changed everything, and how much can you really adjust from the sideline, right? Like, I'm not saying it's impossible.
Part of the other side of that is that the offensive line gets better and better, and the running game gets better and better. Then you begin to just, take their will away from them by just running down your throat. But I don't know that that's an in-game adjustment.
Yeah, and sometimes it's like unlucky stuff too, man. Like you stop Miami on, talking about that game specifically, you stop Miami on, on a 3rd and goal and they score on a 4th and goal, right? Like, and you're like, like, of course, right? Like you give a team 4 downs to try and get it. And then you have a pass tip off a defender's hand and go 30 feet in the air and they catch a touchdown on that. That was certainly payback from the man, who caught that one? Was that Carlos down there in Miami a couple years, in 2014?
Yeah.
So, sometimes fluky stuff like that happens. If that pass doesn't clip off that guy's hands, we win that game. So like, I just, we won it anyway, but then it doesn't get as close as it does. So sometimes I think there's certainly luck involved too, but we see a team that's a little bit more desperate. Essentially Miami in the second half was us against Notre Dame in the second half. Like we were the more desperate team and we were the ones that, had to have it. And there is complacency and all that kind of wears in and sets in and, it can be tough, but it's definitely an interesting thought. And it's, how does it look this year? What is the team able to do? How are they able to kind of cope with that and look at it for sure?
So, like I said, appreciate the time. Love you, man.
I appreciate it, man. Love you too. I love people that come on here and tell me they love me. So, hey, thegramco.com, TJ25 will save you 25% at checkout. Garnetandgold.com, spaces 15 will save you 15%. And DSP Insurance, if you want to save a little money on your car insurance, your homeowner's insurance, hit my DMs. Let's hook you up with Tony Perez at DSP Insurance, and let's get you guys taken care of. I'm going live on Double Fries No Slaw. We're 10 minutes late for it, but hit the link in the top of the space. We will be live with Colby Dant, who is a handicapper, a Vegas insider, and talk a little bit about the season from a national perspective. Obviously, Richie and I are homers, but excited to see what his take is. I will put that link in the comments here if you're on YouTube so that you can just click over to it. If you haven't, thank you, Harlan, for throwing that up. If you haven't gotten tired of my voice just yet, you can go listen to Richie, and that way I only talk for about 20 minutes on the next one. Richie will go for the other 40. So let's go take it over to the other link. We will talk to you guys soon. Thanks for hanging out on the spaces. Thanks for hanging out on YouTube. Go Noles. Again, if you're on YouTube, click that link there in the comments.